December 23rd, 2024. I sat in my cozy apartment carefully wrapping presents for myself when my phone buzzed against the coffee table. The text from my brother Marcus made my stomach drop. Flight leaves at 6 a.m. Kids will be there by 7. Thanks, sis. No question mark. No please. Just another year of him assuming I would sacrifice my Christmas vacation to babysit his 3 children while he and his wife Janet jetted off to Cabo. But this year, something inside me snapped like a rubber band stretched too far. I typed back 2 letters that would change everything. No. The doorbell rang at exactly 7 a.m. on Christmas Eve, just as Marcus had promised. I peered through the peephole to see him standing there with 3 small suitcases and his children clustered around his legs like lost puppies. 8-year-old twins Emma and Ethan clutched matching backpacks, while 5-year-old Sophia held a worn stuffed elephant tight against her chest. Behind them, I could see Janet sitting in their silver SUV with the engine running, staring at her phone instead of looking at the building. I took a deep breath and opened the door, but I did not step aside. Marcus immediately tried to push past me, dragging the largest suitcase behind him. Morning, Lila. The kids already ate breakfast, so you don't have to worry about that. Their schedules are in Emma's backpack, and Janet packed extra clothes in case they spill anything on themselves. Marcus, stop. I planted myself firmly in the doorway, my bare feet cold against the threshold. I texted you last night. I'm not watching the kids this year. He froze mid-stride, his hand still gripping the suitcase handle. A laugh escaped his throat, short and dismissive. Come on, Lila. You're not serious. We already booked the resort. It's non-refundable. I am completely serious. I crossed my arms, feeling the children's confused eyes on me. Find someone else. Marcus straightened up to his full height, which put him about 6 inches above me. His jaw tightened in that familiar way it always did when he didn't get what he wanted. Look, I know you don't have any plans. You never do. And the kids love spending time with you. The casual cruelty of his words hit me like a slap. 7 years of this exact scenario flashed through my mind like a terrible slideshow. 7 Christmas mornings spent in my pajamas, making pancakes for children who weren't mine while their parents sipped mimosas on tropical beaches. 7 New Year's Eve spent building pillow forts instead of kissing someone at midnight. 7 years of canceled dates, declined invitations, and sacrificed opportunities because my brother simply expected me to drop everything. I have plans this year, I said quietly. What plans? His voice carried that mocking tone he had perfected in childhood. Reading books and grading papers. That's not plans, that's just your regular Saturday night. Emma tugged on her father's coat sleeve. Daddy, why is Aunt Lila upset? She's not upset, sweetheart. She's just being difficult. Marcus crouched down and spoke to his daughter, but his eyes remained fixed on mine. Sometimes adults say things they don't mean when they're tired. I mean every word. I knelt down to Emma's level, my voice gentle but firm. I love you and your brother and sister very much, but I can't watch you this year. Ethan stepped closer to his sister, sensing the tension crackling between the adults. Are we going to stay with Grandma and Grandpa instead? Marcus shot me a warning look before answering. No, buddy, we're going to work this out with Aunt Lila. I stood back up, my resolve strengthening with each passing second. There's nothing to work out. I said no. You're being selfish. Marcus's voice rose slightly, causing Sophia to shrink back against the wall. This is the one time a year Janet and I get to reconnect as a couple. We work hard all year long, and we deserve this vacation. What about what I deserve? The words came out louder than I intended. What about my vacation? My time to reconnect with myself? You're single, Lila. You don't have the same responsibilities we do. That statement hung in the air between us like smoke from a house fire. The children shifted uncomfortably, and I could see Janet finally looking up from her phone through the car window. Her brow was furrowed as if she was trying to read lips. Being single doesn't make my time less valuable than yours. Marcus ran his hand through his dark hair, the same gesture he used to make when Mom caught us fighting as kids. Fine. How much do you want? I'll pay you this time. This isn't about money. It's about respect. Respect! He laughed again, but there was no humor in it. I respect you plenty. That's why I trust you with my children. Trusting me and respecting me are two different things. You don't ask me to watch them. You tell me I'm going to watch them. You don't consider my plans or my feelings. You just assume I'll always say yes because I always have before. The car door slammed shut behind us. Janet was walking toward the building entrance, her high-heeled boots clicking against the concrete sidewalk. She wore a flowing winter coat that probably cost more than I made in a month as an elementary school teacher, and her blonde hair was perfectly styled despite the early hour. "What's taking so long?" she called out as she approached. "Our flight board's in 2 hours and we still need to get through security." Marcus turned toward his wife but kept his body positioned to block the doorway. "Lila's having some kind of breakdown. She says she won't watch the kids." Janet's perfectly applied makeup couldn't hide the confusion that crossed her face. "What do you mean she won't watch them? She always watches them." "That's what I told her." Marcus gestured helplessly. "I don't know what's gotten into her." Janet looked directly at me for the first time since arriving. "Lila, is everything okay? Are you feeling sick?" "We can call my mother if you're not well." Something in her genuine concern made my chest tighten. "I'm fine, Janet. I just can't watch the kids this Christmas." "But you love having them for the holidays." Janet's voice carried a note of panic. "You always tell Marcus how much you enjoy it." I stared at my brother, waiting for him to correct his wife's misunderstanding. When he remained silent, the pieces of a larger puzzle began clicking into place in my mind. "Marcus, what exactly did you tell Janet about our arrangement?" His face flushed red, and he avoided my gaze. "I told her the truth." "Which is what exactly?" Janet stepped closer, sensing something wrong in the undercurrent of our conversation. "Marcus tells me you volunteer to watch the children every year, that you look forward to it, that it's your gift to our family." The ground seemed to shift beneath my feet. 7 years of resentment suddenly made perfect sense. 7 years of feeling taken advantage of, while Janet remained blissfully unaware that I was being coerced into free child care. "Marcus," I said slowly, "tell your wife the truth about how these arrangements actually happen." He opened his mouth, then closed it again. The children watched this adult drama unfold with wide eyes, not understanding the implications, but sensing the weight of the moment. "Marcus," Janet's voice carried a warning note. "What is Lila talking about?" Before my brother could craft another lie, Emma spoke up with the devastating honesty that only children possess. "Mommy Daddy always says Aunt Lila has to watch us because she doesn't have her own kids and she has nothing else to do." Janet's face went completely white beneath her carefully applied foundation. She took a step back as if Emma's words had physically struck her one manicured hand flying to her throat. "What did you just say?" Janet's voice came out as barely a whisper. Emma looked between her parents, nervously realizing she had said something that created tension. "I'm sorry. Did I say something wrong?" "No, sweetheart, you didn't say anything wrong." Janet's eyes never left Marcus's face. "Daddy, is that true? Do you tell the children that Lila has to watch them?" Marcus opened his mouth, but no words came out. The silence stretched between them like a taut wire ready to snap. Janet took another step back, her designer purse sliding off her shoulder. "Oh my God, Marcus, tell me you didn't." I found my voice again, though it shook with the weight of this revelation. "Janet, how did you think these arrangements were made?" "I thought." Janet pressed her hand to her forehead, leaving a small smudge in her makeup. I thought you called us every November asking about Christmas plans. I thought you offered to watch them because you loved having children around during the holidays. No. The word came out flat and final. Marcus texts me every December telling me what time to expect them. He's never asked. He's always just informed me. Janet turned to face her husband fully, her entire body trembling. Is that true? Marcus finally found his voice, though it came out defensive and sharp. I was protecting both of you. Lila always complains, but she always agrees in the end. And you always worry about imposing on people, so I simplified things. Simplified things. Janet's voice rose an octave. You lied to me for 7 years. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you every detail of how I arranged childcare. Every detail. Janet stepped toward him, her heels clicking ominously on the concrete. You told me Lila was eager to have them. You told me she looked forward to it all year. I've been sending her expensive gifts every Christmas as thank you presents because I thought she was giving us this incredible gift. My heart clenched as I remembered the beautiful cashmere scarves, the gourmet coffee sets, the art supplies for my classroom that arrived every December with heartfelt notes about gratitude and family bonds. Janet, those gifts meant everything to me. I thought you were thanking me for sacrificing my holidays, not celebrating my supposed enthusiasm. Sacrificing. Janet's makeup was starting to smudge as tears formed in her eyes. You've been sacrificing your holidays all these years. Every single year. I've canceled dates, turned down invitations, missed parties and trips. I've spent 7 Christmas mornings alone with your children while you two enjoyed romantic getaways. Janet whirled around to face Marcus again. You told me she wanted to do it. You said family meant everything to her and that watching the kids was her way of contributing since she didn't have her own children yet. The casual cruelty of that statement hit me like a physical blow. He said what? Oh God. Janet covered her face with both hands. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Marcus, how could you manipulate both of us like this? I wasn't manipulating anyone. Marcus's voice grew louder, causing little Sophia to whimper and move closer to the wall. I was solving a problem. We needed childcare and Lila was available. It worked out for everyone. Worked out for everyone. I couldn't keep the anger out of my voice anymore. It worked out for you and Janet. I got nothing except resentment and exhaustion. You got time with the kids. You love kids. I love my nieces and nephew. That doesn't mean I want to be their unpaid babysitter every Christmas. Janet lowered her hands, revealing mascara tracks down her cheeks. Marcus, what else have you lied about? What other arrangements have you made without telling me the truth? Don't be dramatic, Janet. This isn't about lying. This is about Lila being unreasonable at the last minute. Unreasonable, Janet's voice cracked. She's been giving up her holidays for 7 years because you told her she had to. How is that unreasonable? Ethan tugged on his mother's coat. Mommy, why are you crying? Janet knelt down and pulled all 3 children close to her, trying to shield them from the adult conflict exploding around them. It's okay, babies. Mommy's just upset about something Daddy did. Did Daddy do something bad? Emma asked, her 8-year-old intuition picking up on the serious nature of the conversation. Before Janet could answer, I realized there was more to uncover. Marcus, what did you tell Mom and Dad about why I never come to Christmas dinner anymore? His face went even redder, confirming my suspicions. Marcus. Janet stood up slowly. What did you tell your parents? I told them Lila preferred staying home with the kids instead of dealing with big family gatherings. You told them I chose babysitting over family time. The betrayal cut deeper than I thought possible. Is that why Mom keeps sending me guilt trip cards about putting responsibility before relationships? I was protecting your reputation. I told them you were being helpful, not that you were being forced. My reputation? I laughed, but it came out bitter and sharp. You damaged my reputation. Our parents think I'm antisocial and irresponsible because you lied about my motivations. Janet was crying openly now, no longer caring about her ruined makeup. Marcus, do you realize what you've done? You've been playing us against each other for years. Lila probably resents me for taking advantage of her kindness, and I've been feeling guilty for not appreciating her enough. I don't resent you, I said quickly. I resented him for putting us both in this situation without giving either of us a choice. But I do have a choice. Janet wiped her nose with the back of her hand, smearing her lipstick. I can choose not to go on this trip. I can choose to take my children somewhere else while I figure out how many other lies my husband has told me. Janet, don't be ridiculous. Our flight leaves in an hour and a half. Then go by yourself. Janet's voice carried a finality that made Marcus take a step backward. I'm not leaving my children with someone who doesn't want them, and I'm not going anywhere with someone who lies to me about basic family arrangements. You're overreacting. This is one small miscommunication. One small miscommunication. Janet's voice rose again. This is 7 years of deception. 7 years of taking advantage of your sister while making me complicit in something I never would have agreed to if I'd known the truth. Marcus looked between his wife and me, panic starting to creep into his expression as he realized his carefully constructed narrative was collapsing around him. Fine. I should have been more upfront about how I arrange things, but we can discuss this when we get back from Cabo. Right now we need to figure out what to do with the kids. We're not going to Cabo, Janet said firmly. What do you mean we're not going? I already paid for the trip. Janet's expression shifted to something I'd never seen before. Suspicion mixed with fear created lines around her eyes that makeup couldn't hide. Marcus, how did you pay for this trip? Our Christmas budget was already stretched thin with the kids' presents and your mother's gift. Marcus's face went pale, and for the first time since arriving, he looked genuinely scared. I worked some extra shifts. What extra shifts you work salary at the construction company? There are no extra shifts. The silence that followed was deafening. Even the children stopped fidgeting as they sensed a shift in the adult tension around them. Marcus, Janet said slowly, where did the money for this vacation come from? He looked at the ground, then at the car, then anywhere except at his wife's face. I borrowed it. From who? Another silence. Marcus, from who did you borrow money for this vacation? When he finally looked up, his eyes were filled with shame and desperation. Some people I know. It's not a big deal. I'll pay them back when I get my Christmas bonus. Janet's face went white again. What people? What kind of people lend money for vacations? It doesn't matter. What matters is that we're going to be late for our flight. It matters to me. Janet's voice carried a steel I'd never heard before. Tell me exactly who you borrowed money from and how much you owe them. Marcus glanced at the children, then back at his wife. Can we discuss this in private? No. Answer me now. The word that came out of his mouth next would change everything we thought we knew about Marcus and the danger he had brought into all our lives. Gamblers. Janet stumbled backward as if Marcus had physically shoved her. Her face transformed from confusion to horror in the span of a single heartbeat. Gamblers. What do you mean, gamblers? Marcus fidgeted with his car keys, the metal clinking together in a nervous rhythm. Just some guys I know. It's not what you think. I don't know what to think anymore. Janet's voice cracked with emotion. How much money did you borrow from these gamblers? It's not important right now. We can talk about this when we get back. How much, Marcus? 5,000. Janet pressed both hands to her chest as if she couldn't breathe. $5,000 for one vacation. The resort was expensive, but it's an investment in our marriage. We needed this time together. An investment in our marriage? Janet's voice rose to near hysteria. You borrowed money from gamblers without telling me. I could see the neighbors' curtains twitching as Janet's voice carried across the courtyard. The children huddled closer together, sensing that their parents' argument was spiraling into something much more serious than a vacation dispute. Marcus, please tell me you didn't gamble away our savings. Janet's words came out as a whispered prayer. The way Marcus avoided eye contact told us everything we needed to know before he even opened his mouth. It wasn't that much. I can win it back. Oh my God. Janet grabbed onto the door frame to steady herself. How much did you lose? It's complicated. How much? Maybe 15,000? Janet let out a sound that was half sob, half scream. $15,000, Marcus, that's our emergency fund. That's the kids' college savings. I was trying to make more money for Christmas presents. I thought I could double it and surprise you and the kids with better gifts. You gambled away our children's future so you could buy them better Christmas presents. Janet's voice broke completely. How does that make sense in your head? I realized this conversation was happening in front of 3 young children who were absorbing every word. Maybe we should take this inside, I suggested quietly. No. Janet wiped her nose with the back of her hand. I want to know everything right here, right now. Marcus, is there more? Marcus glanced at his phone, checking the time. Our flight board's in 45 minutes. We're not going anywhere until you tell me the truth about everything. Janet pulled her cell phone from her purse with shaking hands. I'm calling the resort right now to verify your story about being unable to cancel. Janet, don't. Why not? She was already dialing. If it's non-refundable like you said, then they'll confirm it. Marcus lunged forward and grabbed her wrist. Put the phone down. Let go of me. Janet yanked her arm away. Why don't you want me to call the resort? The phone rang twice before someone answered. Janet put it on speaker so we could all hear. Sunny Paradise Resort. This is Miguel speaking. How can I help you today? Hi, Miguel. I need to check on a reservation under the name Marcus Thompson. We're supposed to check in today. 1 moment, please. We could hear typing in the background. I'm not showing any guest reservation under that name for today. Are you sure about the date? Janet's eyes locked onto Marcus's face. Could you check the entire week of December 24th through December 31st? More typing. No, ma'am. I'm not showing any reservations for Marcus Thompson during that period. What about Thompson, any spelling variation? Let me do a broader search. A pause. Oh, wait. I do see a Marcus Thompson in our system, but he's listed as temporary staff, not a guest. He's scheduled to work security shifts December 24th through January 2nd. The phone slipped from Janet's hand and clattered onto the concrete. Marcus's face had gone completely gray. You're not going on vacation, Janet whispered. You're going there to work. Janet, let me explain. Explain what? That everything you told me about this trip was a lie, that you were planning to work while I thought we were reconnecting as a couple. I needed the money. The security job pays double time for holiday work. I was going to tell you once we got there. Tell me what? That instead of spending Christmas together, you'd be working 12-hour shifts while I sat alone in a hotel room. Sophia started crying. The adult argument had reached a level of intensity that frightened her, and she didn't understand why her parents were yelling at each other. Emma wrapped her arms around her little sister, while Ethan stood frozen, his eyes wide with confusion. Janet knelt down and gathered all 3 children close. I'm sorry, babies. Mommy and Daddy are having a grown-up discussion. It's going to be okay. Are you and Daddy getting divorced? Emma asked with the directness that only children possess. I don't know, sweetheart. Right now I'm trying to figure out what's true and what isn't. Marcus crouched down beside his family. Kids, Daddy made some mistakes, but everything's going to work out. Sometimes grown-ups have to make hard decisions to fix problems. What kind of problems? Ethan asked. Before Marcus could craft another lie, Janet's phone started ringing. She looked at the caller ID and frowned. Unknown number. She answered cautiously. Hello. Is this Janet Thompson? Yes, who is this? My name is Tony. I need to speak with your husband about a business matter. Janet looked at Marcus, whose face had gone from gray to green. What kind of business matter? He knows what kind. Tell him his payment is 3 days late and we don't accept excuses. The line went dead. Janet stared at the phone, then at Marcus. Who was that? Nobody important. Marcus, who was that man? Why is someone calling me about a late payment? Before Marcus could answer, my own phone started ringing. I looked at the caller ID unknown number. Should I answer it? I asked. Marcus shook his head frantically. Don't answer that. Which of course made me answer it immediately. Hello. Is this Lila Thompson? This is Lila Peterson. Who is this? We're looking for Marcus Thompson. Our records show this number as an alternate contact. My blood went cold. I'm sorry, what records? Payment records. Tell your brother his deadline was yesterday. I hung up and stared at Marcus. Why do gamblers have my phone number? I might have listed you as an emergency contact. You what? Janet's voice reached a pitch I didn't know was humanly possible. You gave loan sharks your sister's information without her permission. They wanted references. I couldn't use your information because I didn't want you to worry. So you decided to put Lila at risk instead. Janet stood up so quickly that the children stumbled backward. Marcus, do you understand what you've done? You've made your sister a target for dangerous people. I felt sick to my stomach as the implications sank in. Marcus, do these people know where I live? His silence was answer enough. Oh my God. I looked around the apartment complex, suddenly seeing potential threats in every shadow. You gave them my address. I needed to show I had family support. It made them more likely to lend me money. Family support. I could barely form words. You told loan sharks that I would be responsible for your debts. Not responsible exactly, just available if needed. Janet grabbed Marcus by the shoulders and shook him. What does that mean, available for what? Look, it doesn't matter because I'm going to pay them back. The security job will give me enough money to cover the interest, and then I can figure out how to handle the principal. The interest? Janet released him and stepped backward. How much is the interest on $15,000? It's complicated. How much? $2,000 a month. The number hit us like a physical blow. Janet actually swayed on her feet. $2,000 a month, Marcus. You make $3,000 a month at the construction company. How are you planning to live while paying that much in interest alone? I was going to get a second job. What second job when you're already working 50 hours a week? Marcus's phone buzzed with a text message. He glanced at it and his face went even paler. What does it say? Janet demanded. Nothing important. Janet snatched the phone from his hands before he could stop her. She read the message aloud. Payment overdue, 24-hour extension. After that, we start charging late fees to your family members. The words hung in the air like smoke from an explosion. Janet dropped the phone as if it had burned her fingers. They're threatening our children, she whispered. No, they're threatening late fees. It's just business. Late fees to family members. I grabbed the phone and read the message again. Marcus, what exactly did you tell these people about your family's financial situation? Nothing specific. What does nothing specific mean? Ethan tugged on his mother's coat. Mommy, what are late fees? Before Janet could answer, Emma spoke up with devastating childhood honesty. Daddy, is this why those scary men came to our house last week? The ones who made Mommy cry. The color drained from Janet's face as she looked down at her daughter. What scary men, Emma? The ones who came to the door when you were making dinner. They were really big and they talked loud. You told us to go upstairs and stay in our rooms. Janet slowly turned to face Marcus, her expression shifting from shock to a kind of terrified realization. You told me those were salesmen. You said they were selling home security systems. They were just delivering a message. What kind of message? Nothing threatening, just a reminder about payment schedules. I could feel my own apartment building suddenly feeling less safe. Marcus, how many times have these people been to your house? A few times. How many is a few? Maybe 5 or 6 times over the past month. Janet pressed her hands to her temples. 5 or 6 times, Marcus, I've been home alone with the children during some of those visits. Why didn't you tell me what was really happening? I didn't want you to worry. Worry. Janet's voice cracked. I should have been worried. Our children should not have been exposed to loan sharks. Sophia was crying harder now, picking up on her mother's distress. I want to go home, she sobbed. We can't go home right now, baby. Janet picked up her youngest daughter and held her close. Mommy needs to figure some things out first. Why can't we go home? Emma asked. Janet looked at Marcus expectantly, waiting for him to explain the situation to his children. When he remained silent, she took a shaky breath. Because some people Daddy owes money to might come to our house again, and Mommy wants to make sure you're safe. Are we in danger? Ethan asked, his 8-year-old voice small and frightened. No, sweetheart. Mommy's going to make sure you're all safe. But even as Janet spoke the words, I could see in her eyes that she wasn't sure how she was going to keep that promise. My phone rang again. Another unknown number. Don't answer it, Marcus said quickly. Why not? Maybe it's someone else who deserves to know what you've done to our family. I answered the call. Hello? Miss Peterson, this is Detective Rodriguez with the County Sheriff's Department. We need to speak with you about Marcus Thompson. My knees nearly buckled. Is he under arrest? Not currently, but we have some questions. Could you come down to the station sometime today? What kind of questions? We've received reports of suspicious financial activity involving Mr. Thompson and his employment at Peterson Construction. Are you familiar with that company? My father's construction business, the company that had supported our family for 30 years. That's my father's company. Why are you asking about suspicious financial activity? We'd prefer to discuss this in person. Could you come in this afternoon? Can you tell me if my father is in trouble? Your father isn't under investigation, but we need to verify some information about his business accounts. I hung up and stared at Marcus. The police want to talk to me about Peterson Construction. What did you do to Dad's business? Marcus's face went completely white. Nothing. I just needed to borrow a little money. Borrow money from Dad's business, Marcus, that's called embezzlement. It's not embezzlement if I was going to pay it back. How much money did you take from Dad's company? Marcus looked at the ground. Not that much. How much? Maybe 20,000. Janet made a choking sound. 20,000 on top of the 15 you gambled away. I needed money to pay the interest on the gambling debt. I was going to replace it before anyone noticed. Before anyone noticed, I could barely form words. Marcus' dad reviews those books every week. How did you think he wouldn't notice $20,000 missing? I've been moving money between accounts to hide the shortage. I thought I could replace it after the security job. The full scope of Marcus's deception was becoming clear, and it was so much worse than any of us had imagined. He hadn't just gambled away his own family's money, he had stolen from our father's business to pay gambling debts to dangerous people who now had contact information for both Janet and me. Marcus, Janet said quietly, is there anything else? Any other lies or debts or people we need to worry about? Nothing major. What does nothing major mean? I might have used some credit cards. Which credit cards? A few that I opened. In whose name? The silence stretched on until Emma, with her devastating childhood honesty, filled in the blanks. Daddy has cards with our names on them. He showed me mine and said it was for emergencies. Janet's face went completely gray. You opened credit cards in our children's names. Just small ones, to help with cash flow. Our children are 8 and 5 years old, Marcus. They can't legally have credit cards. I use their social security numbers for identity verification, but the accounts are in my name technically. Identity theft. I could barely whisper the words. You committed identity theft against your own children. Janet was crying again, but this time her tears were mixed with rage. How much debt did you put in their names? Maybe $5,000 total across all 3 accounts. $5,000 in debt attached to our babies' identities before they're even old enough for school. It's not that big a deal. I'll pay it off. With what money? Janet's voice rose to a near scream. You've gambled away our savings stolen from your father's business, borrowed from loan sharks, and committed identity theft against our children. Where exactly is this magical money going to come from? Marcus's phone rang. He looked at the caller ID and his face went even whiter. Who is it? Janet demanded. The construction company. Answer it. I can't. Why not? Because I was supposed to be at work today and I called in sick to catch the flight. The flight for the vacation that was actually a second job to pay your gambling debts? Janet, please try to understand. Understand what? That my husband is a pathological liar who has put our entire family at risk. The phone stopped ringing, then immediately started again. That's Dad, I said, recognizing the number. Marcus, you have to answer it. I can't face him right now. You don't have a choice. The police are already involved. Marcus stared at the ringing phone as if it were a live grenade. Finally, Janet grabbed it and answered. Hello, Mr. Peterson. This is Janet. Janet, where's Marcus? He was supposed to open the job site this morning and he's not answering his phone. Janet looked at her husband with disgust. Marcus is here with me and we're dealing with a family crisis. What kind of family crisis? Is someone hurt? Not physically, no. Mr. Peterson, I think you need to know that Marcus has been stealing money from your business. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. Could you repeat that, Janet? Marcus has taken money from the company accounts, $20,000. Put Marcus on the phone. Janet held out the phone to her husband. Your father wants to speak with you. Marcus took the phone with shaking hands. Hi, Dad. Marcus, is what Janet said true? It's complicated. Did you steal money from my business? I borrowed it. Without permission? I was going to tell you. Marcus, I've been looking at the books all week trying to figure out why we're short on the Miller account. Are you telling me you took that money? I can pay it back. With what money? And more importantly, why did you take it in the first place? Marcus looked around at all of us watching him, his wife, his children, his sister, and seemed to realize that his web of lies had finally collapsed completely. I have a gambling problem, Dad, and I owe some dangerous people a lot of money, and I was trying to fix it without anyone finding out. The line went quiet for a long moment. How much money do you owe, son? About $40,000 total, including interest. And how much have you stolen from my business? $20,000. Marcus, I've been in business for 30 years. I've never had an employee steal from me, let alone my own son. Dad, I'm sorry. I was desperate. Desperate enough to destroy my business, Marcus? The Miller account payment was supposed to cover payroll next week. Do you understand what you've done? 8 families depend on this company for their livelihood. The full weight of Marcus's actions was finally becoming clear. He hadn't just hurt his own family, he had jeopardized the livelihoods of every family that worked for our father. I can fix this, Dad. How? I'll get another job. I'll work nights and weekends. Marcus, the police called me an hour ago. They're treating this as a criminal matter. Getting another job isn't going to solve this problem. Janet took the phone back. Mr. Peterson, what do you need us to do? I need Marcus to come to the office immediately and account for every penny he's taken, and I need to call my lawyer. "We'll be there in an hour," Janet said. "Janet, bring the children to my house first. They don't need to be involved in this." Actually, they do need to be involved because Marcus opened credit cards in their names. The silence that followed was so complete, I could hear my own heartbeat. "He did what?" "Identity theft, using their social security numbers." "Jesus Christ, Marcus, what have you done to this family?" When our father hung up, we all stood in silence for several moments. The children were crying quietly, sensing that their world had fundamentally changed in ways they didn't understand. Finally, Janet spoke. "Marcus, I want you to pack a bag and leave our house today." "Janet, please." "No, I'm filing for divorce and I'm requesting full custody of the children. You've put them in danger in ways I never imagined." "Where am I supposed to go?" "I don't care. Figure it out the same way you figured out how to steal from children and endanger your family." Marcus looked at his children who were clinging to their mother and avoiding eye contact with him. "Kids, Daddy loves you very much." Emma looked up at him with eyes that seemed much older than her 8 years. "Daddy, why did you do bad things?" "I made mistakes, sweetheart. Big mistakes. But I love you and your brother and sister more than anything in the world." "If you love us, why did you make scary people come to our house?" Ethan asked. Marcus had no answer for that question because there was no answer that would make sense to a child. As we prepared to leave my apartment and face the legal and financial catastrophe that Marcus had created, none of us realized that the biggest shock was still to come. At Dad's house, Janet collapsed on the living room couch while the children ran to find their grandparents. Mom emerged from the kitchen, took one look at Janet's tear-streaked face, and immediately went into crisis mode. "What happened? Where's Marcus?" "He's outside in the car on the phone with a lawyer," I explained. "Mom, we need to tell you everything." For the next hour, we laid out the full scope of Marcus's deception. Mom's face went through every emotion possible: shock, denial, anger, heartbreak, and finally a grim determination that reminded me why she had been the backbone of our family business for 30 years. "How long has this been going on?" she asked when we finished. "The gambling started about a year ago," Janet said quietly. "But I didn't know about it until today. I thought we were just having normal financial struggles." "What about the behavior changes? Didn't you notice anything different about him?" Janet pressed her hands to her face. "I thought he was stressed about work. He's been distant and irritable, but he said it was because construction slows down in winter. I believed him because I wanted to believe him." Dad came in from his office, his face grim. "I just got off the phone with my accountant. The damage to the business is worse than $20,000. We all looked at him, dreading what he was about to tell us. "Marcus has been moving money between different accounts to hide the theft. He's been forging my signature on transfers and creating fake invoices to cover the missing funds. The total amount he's stolen is closer to $50,000. Janet made a choking sound. $50,000? "And because he's been creating false paperwork, we're going to have problems with the IRS. The business books are a mess." Mom sat down heavily in her recliner. 30 years of building this company and our own son might destroy it. "He won't destroy it," Dad said firmly. "But it's going to take years to recover from this. I'll have to take out loans to cover payroll and the outstanding contracts." "What about retirement?" Mom asked quietly. Dad and Mom had been planning to sell the business and retire next year. They had worked their entire adult lives building Peterson Construction into something they could pass down or sell to fund their golden years. "Retirement is off the table for now," Dad said. "I'll be working until I'm 70 if that's what it takes to fix this mess." The weight of what Marcus had stolen from our parents, not just money, but their dreams and security, settled over the room like a heavy blanket. "There's something else," Dad continued. "The lawyer thinks Marcus might go to prison." Janet started crying again. "For how long?" Embezzlement of this magnitude plus the identity theft involving minors could mean 5 to 10 years. Emma looked up from the toys she was quietly playing with in the corner. Is Daddy going to jail? The adults exchanged glances, none of us knowing how to answer that question. We don't know yet, sweetheart, Janet said gently. Daddy made some very serious mistakes, and there might be consequences. What kind of consequences? He might have to go away for a while. Like when Grandpa Joe went to the hospital. Sort of like that, except Daddy wouldn't be sick. He would be paying for the mistakes he made. Sophia climbed into Janet's lap. Will Daddy come back? Eventually, yes. When? I don't know, baby. Mom cleared her throat. Janet, what are you going to do about housing? If Marcus goes to prison, can you afford the mortgage payments? I don't even know what our financial situation is anymore. Marcus handled all the bills and banking. I have no idea what other debts he might have hidden from me. We need to get you to a financial advisor immediately, Dad said, and you'll need your own lawyer for the divorce proceedings. I can't afford lawyers and financial advisors. Yes, you can, Mom said firmly. We'll help you. This is not your fault, and you shouldn't be punished financially for Marcus's crimes. I had been quietly thinking while everyone else talked, and a terrible possibility occurred to me. Janet, do you know if Marcus had access to the children's social security numbers for anything other than the credit cards? What do you mean? I mean, if he was desperate enough to open credit cards in their names, what else might he have done with their identities? Janet went pale. I don't know. How would I find out? We need to run credit reports on all 3 children immediately, Dad said. If Marcus used their information for anything else, it will show up there. How do we run credit reports on children? I'll call my accountant. There are services that monitor children's credit specifically because identity theft involving minors is unfortunately common. While Dad made that call, Janet's phone rang. She looked at the caller ID and frowned. It's our pediatrician's office. Why would they be calling on Christmas Eve? She answered the call. Hello, this is Janet Thompson. Mrs. Thompson, this is Linda from Dr. Morrison's office. We've been trying to reach you about your children's insurance coverage. What about it? Your insurance was canceled for non-payment. We have outstanding claims that have been denied, and we need to discuss payment arrangements. Janet's face went white. Our insurance was canceled when... The cancellation was effective December 1st. We've been sending notices to your house for the past month. I never received any notices. They were sent to your mailing address on file. Janet hung up and immediately called Marcus, who was still sitting in the car outside. Marcus, get in here right now. He came in looking defeated and scared. Did you cancel our health insurance? I didn't cancel it. I just couldn't make the payments. For how long? Maybe 3 months. 3 months. Janet's voice rose. Marcus Sophia had strep throat last month. Ethan had his school physical. Emma needed her allergy medication refilled. How much do we owe in medical bills? I don't know exactly. Guess? Maybe $8,000. $8,000 in medical debt on top of everything else. Dad looked at Marcus with disgust. Son, did you intercept the insurance notices so Janet wouldn't find out? I was trying to handle it. By hiding it? I thought I could catch up on the payments before anyone noticed. Mom stood up abruptly. Marcus, I want you to leave my house. I can't look at you right now. Mom, please. You've stolen from your father's business, endangered your children, lied to your wife, and put this entire family at risk. I need you to leave. Marcus looked around the room at his children, who were all avoiding eye contact with him. Kids, I'm sorry. I know you don't understand what's happening, but I want you to know that everything I did, I thought I was doing to help our family. How does stealing help families? Emma asked with devastating 8-year-old logic. Marcus had no answer for that. After he left, we spent the rest of the afternoon trying to assess the full scope of the financial damage. The children's credit reports revealed that Marcus had indeed used their identities for more than just credit cards. He had opened a personal loan using Ethan's social security number and had attempted to open a bank account using Emma's information. The total debt attached to the children's identities is about $12,000, Dad said after reviewing all the reports. Is that fixable? Janet asked. Yes, but it will require police reports, fraud affidavits, and probably months of paperwork. The children's credit will be flagged as fraud victims, which will actually protect them in the future, but it's a mess to clean up. As the sun set on Christmas Eve, Janet sat on the couch with all 3 children curled up against her. She was staring at a stack of legal documents and financial statements, trying to process the magnitude of the crisis Marcus had created. I don't know how to do this, she said quietly. I don't know how to be a single mother with this much debt and legal trouble. You're not alone, Mom said. We're going to help you through every step of this. But what if I can't handle it? What if I'm not strong enough to rebuild our lives? Emma looked up at her mother. Mommy, you're the strongest person I know. I am. You take care of all of us every day. You work and cook and clean and help us with homework. Daddy just watches TV and talks on his phone. Out of the mouths of babes, Janet kissed the top of Emma's head and held her children closer. You're right, sweetheart. Mommy can handle this. But none of us knew that Christmas morning would bring one final revelation that would change everything we thought we understood about Marcus and his crimes. Christmas morning arrived gray and cold. I had spent the night at Mom and Dad's house, and we all woke up to the sound of someone pounding on the front door at 7 a.m. Police, open up. Dad answered the door to find 2 officers and a detective standing on the front porch. We have a warrant to search the premises for evidence related to Marcus Thompson. He doesn't live here, Dad said. But he has access to this property, and we have reason to believe he may have stored evidence of financial crimes here. For the next 3 hours, police searched the house, the garage, and Dad's home office. They found boxes of forged documents hidden in the attic above the garage documents that Marcus had apparently been storing at our parents' house for months. These are fake invoices for your construction company, Detective Rodriguez explained to Dad. Your son has been creating fictional contracts and billing clients for work that was never performed. That's impossible. I review every contract personally. These contracts were for smaller jobs, home repairs, and minor renovations. He was using the company letterhead to bill people for services, then pocketing the money instead of depositing it into the business account. The detective spread out dozens of fake invoices on the kitchen table. We estimate he's stolen an additional $30,000 using this scheme. Dad sat down heavily, his face gray with shock. $80,000 total? Potentially more. We're still investigating. Janet had been silent through most of the search, but now she spoke up. Detective, what does this mean for my husband's legal situation? It means he's looking at felony charges for embezzlement, wire fraud, identity theft, and potentially money laundering. The federal government may get involved because some of the fake billing crossed state lines. How much prison time? 15 to 20 years if convicted on all charges. The number hit the room like a physical blow. Emma, who had been listening from the doorway, started crying. Is my daddy going to jail for 20 years? Detective Rodriguez knelt down to Emma's level. Sweetheart, your daddy made some very bad choices, and now he has to face the consequences. But that doesn't mean he doesn't love you. If he loved us, why did he do bad things? Sometimes adults make mistakes when they're scared or desperate. It doesn't excuse what they did, but it helps explain why they did it. After the police left, our family sat around the kitchen table, surrounded by legal documents and evidence bags. The Christmas presents under the tree seemed absurdly cheerful given the circumstances. What happens now? Janet asked. Now we fight back, I said firmly. Everyone looked at me. Marcus created this mess, but we don't have to let it destroy us. Dad, what would it take to save the construction company? I'd need to replace the stolen money and clean up the books. Probably $100,000 in 6 months of intensive accounting work. What if we restructured the business, made it a family partnership instead of a sole proprietorship? What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that I quit teaching and come work for you. I'm good with numbers and organization. If we can get a loan to cover the immediate shortfall, I can help rebuild the business and make it stronger than before. Dad stared at me. Lila, you love teaching. I love this family more than I love my job. And honestly, after 7 years of having my Christmas holidays ruined, I'm ready for a career change. Mom leaned forward. But you'd be giving up your pension and benefits. The business can provide benefits, and if we rebuild it properly, it can provide a better future for all of us than my teaching salary ever could. Janet wiped her eyes. What about me? I don't have any business skills. You have organizational skills from managing a household and 3 children. You're detail-oriented, responsible, and you're great with people. Those are exactly the skills a construction company needs for project management and client relations. But I've never worked in construction. Neither have most of the women who start successful construction companies. You can learn and we can teach you. Dad was quiet for several minutes considering the proposal. Finally, he spoke. It could work. Peterson Construction becomes Peterson Family Construction. Lila handles finances and operations. Janet manages client relations and project coordination. Your mother continues handling administrative work. What about the children? Janet asked. The kids can come to the office after school instead of going to daycare. It's a family business. They should be part of the family environment. For the first time since this crisis began, I saw hope in Janet's eyes. You would really do this for us. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for our family. Marcus tried to tear us apart, but instead, we're going to build something stronger. But what about the legal problems, the debt? We'll face it together. As a family business, we can structure payments to creditors and gradually clean up the mess Marcus made. It won't be easy, but it's doable if we all work together. Mom reached across the table and took Janet's hand. Honey, you and the children are part of this family regardless of what Marcus did. We're going to take care of each other. What about Marcus? What do I tell the children about their father going to prison? You tell them the truth in age-appropriate ways. You tell them that their father made serious mistakes and has to face the consequences, but that doesn't change the fact that he's their father and he loves them. And what about visits? That's up to you. If you want to take them to see him, we'll support that decision. If you decide it's not healthy for them, we'll support that too. Emma had been listening to this entire conversation. Mommy, are we going to be okay? Janet pulled her daughter onto her lap. Yes, baby. We're going to be better than okay. We're going to be a stronger family. Even without Daddy, especially without Daddy, at least for now. Sometimes families have to change shape, but that doesn't mean they become less loving. That afternoon, we spent Christmas Day not opening presents but making plans. We contacted lawyers, accountants, and business advisors. We developed timelines for restructuring the company, paying down debts, and rebuilding our family's financial foundation. By evening, we had a comprehensive plan that would take 3 years to fully implement, but would ultimately leave our family in a stronger position than we had been in before Marcus's crimes came to light. There's one more thing, I said as we were finishing dinner. I want to establish a college fund for the kids that Marcus can never access. How? We structure it as a family trust managed by the business. Every month, Peterson Family Construction contributes to the trust. By the time Emma, Ethan, and Sophia are ready for college, they'll have enough money for full scholarships to any school they want to attend. Janet started crying again, but this time they were tears of relief and gratitude. I can't believe you're willing to change your entire life to help us. I'm not changing my life to help you. I'm changing my life to save our family. And honestly, I think this is going to be the best decision I've ever made. As we tucked the children into bed that night, Emma asked one final question. "Aunt Lila, are you going to be our new daddy?" I laughed. "No, sweetheart. You only get one daddy, and that's Marcus. But I'm going to be your business partner, which means I'm going to help your mommy take care of you in different ways." "What kind of ways?" "Well, instead of someone dropping you off at my house every Christmas, you're going to help me build something amazing. You're going to learn how to run a business, how to treat people fairly, and how to build things that last." "Can we build a treehouse?" "We can build whatever you want as long as you help with the planning and the work." "Even a castle?" "Especially a castle." As I turned off the lights in their room, I realized that Marcus's attempt to destroy our family had actually given us an opportunity to become closer and stronger than we had ever been before. 6 months later, I stood in the courthouse watching Marcus plead guilty to 8 felony charges. The judge sentenced him to 7 years in prison with the possibility of parole in 5 years. Janet sat beside me with the children who were old enough to understand that their father was going away for a long time. "Do you have anything to say to the court before sentencing?" the judge asked Marcus. Marcus stood up slowly. "Your Honor, I want to apologize to my family, to my father's business, and to everyone I hurt with my actions. I made terrible choices that hurt the people I love most in the world. I accept full responsibility for what I've done." The judge nodded. "Mr. Thompson, the court recognizes that addiction and desperation can lead people to make choices they never thought they would make. However, the scope of your crimes and the impact on your victims, particularly your own children, requires significant consequences." After the sentencing, we gathered outside the courthouse. Janet had brought the children to see their father one last time before he was transferred to federal prison. "Daddy, when are you coming home?" Sophia asked, not fully understanding what 7 years meant to a 6-year-old. "I'm going to be gone for a long time, baby, but I want you to listen to your mommy and Aunt Lila, and I want you to be good kids." "Are you going to write us letters?" Emma asked. "I'm going to write you letters every week if your mommy says that's okay." Janet nodded. "We'll read them together." "And kids," Marcus said, kneeling down to their level, "I want you to remember that what I did was wrong. If you ever have problems or make mistakes, you talk to your family. You ask for help. You don't lie and steal and hide things like I did." "We won't, Daddy," Ethan promised. "And I want you to know that Aunt Lila and Grandma and Grandpa are going to take very good care of you and your mommy. They're going to teach you how to build things and run a business and be honest, hardworking people." As the bailiffs led Marcus away, the children cried, but they also hugged each other and their mother. They had learned over the past 6 months that families can survive even the worst betrayals if they stick together and support each other. Peterson Family Construction had not just survived, it had thrived. Within 6 months of restructuring, we had paid off all of Marcus's debts, restored the stolen money to the business accounts, and secured 3 major contracts that would keep us busy for the next 2 years. Janet had discovered a natural talent for project management and client relations. She had enrolled in evening business classes and was learning construction basics from Dad. The children spent every afternoon at the office doing homework and helping with small tasks. They were learning the value of honest work and family cooperation. I had discovered that I loved running a business even more than I had loved teaching. My organizational skills and attention to detail had helped streamline operations and increase profitability. We had expanded from residential construction to commercial projects, and our reputation for ethical business practices had attracted clients who valued integrity. The Children's College Trust Fund was growing steadily. We had also established a victim restitution fund that helped other families who had been affected by financial crimes, similar to Marcus's schemes. Most importantly, we had learned to say no to things that weren't healthy for our family and, yes, to opportunities that brought us closer together. 1 year after that terrible Christmas Eve confrontation, we were spending Christmas morning in our new family tradition. Instead of anyone being dumped on anyone else, we all gathered at Mom and Dad's house to exchange presents and share a meal we had all prepared together. "Aunt Lila," Emma said as she unwrapped a set of junior construction tools, "thank you for saving our family." "I didn't save our family, sweetheart. We saved our family by working together and telling the truth and supporting each other." "But you said no when it was hard to say no." "That's right. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set boundaries and stick to them." Janet sat beside me on the couch watching her children play with their gifts. "You know what's funny? I used to dread Christmas because it meant managing everything alone while Marcus disappeared. Now Christmas is my favorite day of the year because we're all together as a real family." "What's the difference between a real family and a fake family?" Sophia asked. "A real family tells the truth even when it's hard. A real family asks for help when they need it. A real family takes care of each other without keeping score. And," Emma added with 8-year-old wisdom, "a real family doesn't dump kids on people without asking." We all laughed at that, and I realized that Emma had learned one of life's most important lessons: respect for other people's boundaries and choices. As I watched the children play and listened to Janet and my parents planning the next phase of business expansion, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Marcus had tried to destroy our family by lying, manipulating, and taking advantage of our love for each other. Instead, his actions had forced us to communicate honestly, set healthy boundaries, and build something stronger than what we had before. The business was thriving, the children were happy and secure, Janet had discovered her own strength and capabilities, and our parents were able to continue building their legacy instead of watching it crumble. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to a family is learning how to say no to dysfunction and yes to healing. What about you? Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you had to choose between keeping peace and protecting your own well-being? How do you handle family members who take advantage of your kindness? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need to hear this message. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories about family dynamics, personal growth, and finding strength in difficult situations. Thank you for listening, and remember, sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set boundaries that protect everyone involved, even when it feels impossible in the moment.